Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm your host, Amanda Lamb. 3 people were shot and killed at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas Wednesday. The gunman was killed in a shootout with police. Witnesses have identified the shooter as a former professor with ties to North Carolina. Anthony Polito previously taught at East Carolina University from 2001 until 2017 and graduated from Duke University's MBA program in 1991. For many people in Las Vegas, this brings back horrifying moments from October of 2017 when 60 people were killed during a mass shooting at a music festival. Today, Chelsea Donovan has been digging into Polito's background, and she's joining us with what she's learned. Chelsea, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So what do we know at this point about Polito's current job status at the time of the shooting? Was he still working as a professor?
He says that he was a semi-retired professor on his own website and on LinkedIn, so we're unclear as to kind of what his role was, but sources that WRAL has stated that he was currently applying for a job on that campus within the university's business school.
And what do we know so far about his time at ECU, where he retired in 2017 as a tenured professor? What did he teach?
Yeah, he had 16 years under his belt there. There were so many students that he taught, I think more than 6,500 over the course of almost 2 decades, and he really focused on marketing and supply chain management at the university.
And one of the things I've noticed in your reporting is you talk a lot about how he really had this kind of a love affair with Las Vegas that his students talked about, his former students.
I will say every single one of the students that we talked to, and it was more than a dozen students, talked about how he brought the city and the affinity of Las Vegas into his lecturing. Not only would he talk about the casinos and the hotels and the supply chain management of what goes on in the city, but he then talked about, this is the best time of year to go to Las Vegas and the places that he would stay and where he would go. And the students sort of found that odd because he was bringing in sort of an entirely different location, but sort of trying to work that into his curriculum.
Okay, well, we will talk more after the break. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. So I know you spent the day trying to learn more about him, and you did speak to some people who knew him. First of all, how are they reacting when they hear about what happened?
So there was mixed messages. The majority of the folks were, of course, completely shocked because they had fond memories of the classroom. They said he was very engaging. He loved class participation. And then a lot of people said, with his big love affair for the city of Las Vegas and knowing that he was a tenured ECU professor that, these students were taught by, they were like, okay, I can see this now because he just talked so much about that city. But for the majority of the students that we talked to that, he taught between 2001 and 2017, really had fond memories of him. And really the reaction was, of course, stunning.
Yeah, I don't think anybody imagines that anyone they know would be part of something like this. And clearly, this is just very early. This just happened. We are speaking on Thursday afternoon. This just happened on Wednesday, and the investigation is just beginning. But, it's got to be unnerving for people who knew him because obviously you think, well, if this happened out there and he had ties to North Carolina, it could have happened here as opposed to happening in Nevada. So is that something that people thought about?
They did. There was a couple students that we talked to today that said, this is hitting too close to home because it could have happened on that campus and it could have happened could have happened at ECU. What that motive is as to why he, allegedly went on a rampage, we don't know. And then there's questions surrounding the fact as to why he resigned back in 2017 at ECU. And of course, was there some sort of beef, or was he disgruntled by the fact that he may or may not have gotten chosen for this job at UNLV? I think those things would probably be answered in the coming days as that investigation unfolds.
Yeah, and what do people still want to know? The people you talk to, what questions did they have that they would still like to have answered?
Yeah, I think why? Why did he pick the business school? Was he after students? Was he after faculty members? Did he have a hit list? There's been a lot of talk on social media about that. So I think, obviously, as you know, the investigation right now is super close to the vest, and those are things that, of course, are probably very tight-lipped. But it is interesting to know why he, allegedly went through that building of all the buildings that are on the campus, and if it had to do with the fact of him not getting hired.
But again, the overall consensus from people you talked to was that he was a good guy. I mean, people did not have negative things to say about him.
Super engaging, fun to be around, very participatory in the classroom. They describe him as just very jovial. So that kind of was the consensus from many of these students we talked to at ECU.
And again, just another tragedy in America. Several people shot on a college campus, and this is just something that unfortunately we're hearing more and more about and is very, every time we hear it, we should be more surprised than we are, but it continues to happen. Chelsea, thank you so much for your reporting and your insight into this very tragic story. And of course, we will have more on this, more coverage. You can look at WRAL.com for the latest updates. For more news from WRAL, sign up for the WRAL Morning Briefing newsletter. You'll be informed and ready to face the day with one concise email. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter. As always, thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download.